Okay, hello, and welcome to following another episode of Following the Signs in Real Life. And this cutie pat is waking up from a little nap. I hear you, Mama. Let's go. You want to look at the cute baby? So, again, talking about how the universe communicates with us. And the thing is our guides on the other side find ways to communicate with us as long as we're open to it. Oh, so snuggly. As long as we're open to it, they find ways to communicate with us that we understand, so that we're aware of. So they find ways to communicate with us in ways that we are open to receiving. So, like I've talked about, I am still, as much as I still love to get to those brainwave lengths, the delta, the theta, where it's just, you just hear it, you just know it, you're just so in tune to your higher self. I was much more in tune to that during my near-death experience for whatever reason. Maybe being in that mode just took me out of my beta, my analytical thinking. I don't know. But for me, I'm a very visual person. So they send me a lot of messages. Oh my gosh, and that was one of the really ADD moment. That was one of the really cool ways my grandpa communicated with me during my near-death experience. So I had asked, so when I talk about my grandma and my grandpa, this is on my mom's side. I just feel way more connected to them. I never did meet my dad's dad in this life. He passed before I was born. And my dad's mom, we just didn't really ever have... Aw, there's Cutie Packing to say hi to. We never really had a close relationship, versus I was much closer in this lifetime with my mom's mom and dad, my grandma Rose and my grandpa Tom. And I think it's so sweet because now my daughter is like carrying on in my footsteps, and I bought her this phone watch, and she asked me to put Beepa in there, Beepa Donna and Beepa Neil, which is my parents. And she asked me to plug, so I'm in there, her dad's in there. She asked me to put her dad's ex-girlfriend in there, so I did. I don't know if they've had contact. They did back when they were still together, but I know Callie's tried to call her a few times, and I don't know if Sam has tried calling her back. But my parents are in there, and my daughter asked me to put Dave's parents in there. So, as you know, I'm kind of limiting my communication with my parents, but, I want my daughter to kind of bless me, make her own choices. And if she wants to talk to my parents, her Beepa, who she has spent so many nights over at their house, then cool, that's a-okay. I will happily support that relationship. I don't want to shame it or tell her no, or whatever. And she already asked if she could invite Beepa Neil to her birthday party. But what that does tell me is that the birthday party I will be having will be not in my house. Because I don't feel comfortable having my dad in my house. And he is on better behavior when there's other people around, right? Like, he's not going to get in my face and yell at me in front of other people. Which is always so funny, right? But that's because, I know he's ashamed deep down of that behavior as well. And for whatever reason, I trigger him and I trigger his anger, and, you know, it's part of our relationship dynamic here. So, during my NDE, my grandma Rose came to me a lot. I've talked about this. I had friends who would gift me rose oils, essential oils with roses in them, a candle that my friend Alicia gave me that she was like, you have to, she was like, I made it for you this morning. Like, Spirit made me make this for you this morning before I came to you. And they insisted that I put rose oil in it, and that just made me cry because that was my grandma Rose, like, insisting on letting me know that she's here with me, guiding me here with me during this journey. I was pretty close to them, even though I lived in Colorado and they lived in Michigan, but we would go visit, and I remember them telling me and my parents that I was the only grandchild out of their handful of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 grandchildren. I was the only one who ever called them to talk to them, just to chat, just to say hey. Now, whether they called their other grandchildren or me, I don't know, but I would always want to call them, which, made them feel good. And so during my NDE, I knew my grandma Rose was there with me, but I decided one day to ask. I said, Grandpa, if you're here with me as well, send me a sign. And I heard, like somebody had said, be very specific when you ask for a sign. And I was like, fine. Send me a pink carnation if you are here with me on this journey. If you're here with me, guiding me, here with me, just so I don't feel so alone, And as I always say, Spirit's got jokes, but they're going to find their own way to communicate, in a way that they know that we will listen or get, or, they will do their best to learn our language and do their best to communicate with us in a way that we both can. And so, it was shortly thereafter, like maybe a couple nights, and I'm here, I'm in my bedroom, and my daughter's sleeping next to me. My son was in his room at the time, in his own crib. He has since moved in here, and sleeps in my room as well, oftentimes on his own little bed that he has made up here on the floor. And I have asked him numerous times if he wants me to move in the air mattress or his mattress or, whatever. And he's like, no. He likes it down there on his comforter and blankies and with his loveys and on the cushy rug. And, then sometimes he moves up into the bed. But so that night I woke up in the middle of the night and I smelled freshly popped popcorn. Like, hands down, somebody was popping popcorn. It was just me, my daughter, my son. My daughter was 5 at the time. My son was 2 at the time. And my cat and dog. Like, nobody was actually popping popcorn. But there was this overwhelmingly strong aroma of popcorn. Now, my daughter loves popcorn. My mom loves popcorn. So I decided to ask her. I said, the next day, I said, Mom, I know you love popcorn. Callie loves popcorn. Did Grandma love popcorn as well? And she was like, oh no, that was your grandpa. He used to pop popcorn on the stove that like Jiffy Pop popcorn on the stove almost every single day. And I just teared up. Like, I got that message from my grandpa that he's here with me. So, you know, I'm tearing up and I tell my mom, like, I'm crying and I'm like, Mom, Grandpa sent me a message saying that he's here with me. And I told her what happened and she starts to tear up. And then my dad enters the room and here's what's going on, and any sort of bonding between my mom and I really triggers my dad. And maybe it's because of his own, you know, mother wound trauma of not getting that bond with his mom, that the idea of me bonding with my mom, you know, really, really bothers him. And it's interesting to talk about this because my mom is probably the mom, you know, that my dad never had. Like the nurturing, loving, I'll take care of you mom, because his mom yelled at him, screamed at him, slapped him. They had a foster child that I do that because they fostered her. Basically, my dad told me they used her as a maid, as a housekeeper. She, you know, they fostered her just so that she would maintain the home. I was like, oh, like here I am thinking my grandma can't be that, you know, bad of a person because she had a foster child. Oh no, it was so that they could use her as a maid. Okay, good to know. So, you know, I do think that that's a large part of it, but so in comes my dad, and he immediately shuts it down and ruins the moment, and my mom sobers up, and, you know, moment's gone. But so lately, I have been having the smoke detector in mostly my room go off. Every once in a while it'll be in like my daughter's room, but it's mostly in my room. And so, you know, it is above a fan that I have that goes for Lily for the like white noise at night because it helps her sleep. And so, you know me, I'm like, oh, well, maybe it's dusty, blow it out, clean it, blah, blah, blah. Well, you know, it still does it every once in a while. And a lot of times it is in the middle of the night. I guess maybe that's, you know, when the veil's the thinnest, when they have the easiest time communicating with us. Every once in a while it will go off at other parts of the day, but usually it's at night. And so I asked, see, look at that light, look at that. That to me just like shows our connection to source. That like beautiful, beautiful, beautiful light. It's just one of my favorites. And so I decided to ask, you know, Spirit, who is that that's communicating with me through the fire alarm to let me know that they're here with me? Like, okay, cool, I appreciate it. It kind of scares my kids a little. It usually wakes me up in the middle of the night and I'm kind of like, I'm trying to sleep. But, you know, it's a really sweet gesture for you to let me know that you're here with me. So who is it that is letting me know that they're there with me? And so I asked the question, right? Because if we ask, we'll receive the answer. We just have to be open to it. And so today I'm on my, I don't know, you all know me, Instagram or Facebook, just happen to pop in there, and I see this person with this dog. I don't even know who this person was. It's not even like somebody that I'm friends with. I think it might have even been like, I don't know, an ad or something like that. I don't know. This wasn't like a close friend, you know, whose stuff popped up. And so it's pictures of her with this dog, and that dog looks like my Snickers. My Snickers, who has passed away. Like, there is a very strong resemblance. And I'll have to see, because, of course I don't remember who it was because I wasn't paying attention to the fact that this is my answer, right? Like, me is like, I asked a question and then I forget, like, oh, hey, I'm trying to show you the answer. And so I was like, oh, I wonder if that's the answer to, like, who is trying to communicate with me through the smoke alarm. So I said, universe, is this Snickers? Like, is that you communicating with me through the smoke detector? And I was like, is it you? Is it just you? Or is it you and somebody else? Like, send me confirmation. And so I am clearing out her potential nursery room because I'm going to make it into an at-home treatment room for now. And I'm clearing stuff out and getting rid of as much stuff as possible, and then I have to get everything out of the closet, and there's random boxes in there and whatnot. So in one of the boxes is a bunch of old notebooks from my grad school, or my, I think it was massage school, and I was like, why do I still have this? It's literally been sitting here for years. Like, just go recycle it. Just go. And so I'm looking through there, and there's a little binder of PetSmart training, and it's like an instruction manual, and I was like, oh, I did that with Snickers. So I decided, I don't know why, to open it up and just briefly peruse it, and this is in there. Certificate of Achievement. This certifies that Snickers has successfully completed blah blah blah. And look at the signature of who signed the certificate. Christy Rose. Hands down, 100%. I just got my answer of who is communicating with me through the smoke detector when it goes off. It is Snickers, and it is my grandma Rose. And they are both letting me know 100% that they are here with me. They are guiding me. So I will say that I do think that they were also trying to help give me a message during the smoke detector when it would go off. Maybe not every time, but recently I do know that I've been experiencing more heat rash symptoms under my armpits and then on my right forearm. The right forearm is not necessarily healing or getting better, but under the armpits now is. But I'd been experiencing, like, basically the start of the heat rash, and that's how my breast implant. That actually makes a lot of sense. Okay, so the heat rash has been like under my armpits, kind of in my lat area, and that's kind of, and my forearms. That's kind of where things started with the breast implants. And the message I know with that was, don't put anything on me or in me. Don't put anything on me or in me. And it did end up being, the huge message was to get my breast implants out. And so I have this nose spray that is an oxytocin nose spray that I had left over from when I was nursing Hobbs. And it sat in the fridge for years. Why I kept it, again, I guess my intuition knew to keep it, or just me not throwing shit out. And so recently when I got sick and I had that sinus infection, whatever it was going on for those couple of weeks, 3 weeks, my milk letdown sucked. It was sucking so bad. Like, she would be at the breast trying to stimulate a milk letdown for 5-10 minutes and nothing. So I was like, I have that in the fridge still. Let's just try it and see if it still works. Like, is it technically expired? Probably, but it's been sitting in the fridge for 3 years, so no, longer than that. So I might as well use it. And so I allowed myself to use it while I was sick to take off the stress of getting that milk let down. And here's the info for that, the compounding pharmacy and the date on this. Okay, yeah, 6/19/2020. So yes, just about 3 years old. And welcome to the inside of my fridge. And so I'd been using it more regularly, but ultimately my soul, what does my soul prefer? It prefers that I don't take medication. It prefers that I don't take supplements. It prefers that I get this stuff through a natural way. So yes, resting, sleeping, meditating, calming down, getting out in nature, honoring my body so that I can rest and recover, right? But I definitely needed that extra support while I was sick. And I 100% think that I started breaking out in the rash as my soul's way of saying, like, okay, you're feeling better now. It is time to stop using it so much. Stop, using it ahead of time before she even tries nursing, like maybe just use it as a backup if, you're stressed for whatever reason and the milk's not letting down. No, it's there for you. And so I had been still using it quite a bit, including during the middle of the night. I would wake up because Lily is fussing, which means, she still nurses about twice a night. That's just how it's been for quite some time. So I'll latch her on so that she can eat and fall back asleep. And when I was sick, the milk wasn't letting down, so I started keeping the nose spray in there and just using it so that I would use it and just let her nurse so I could go back to sleep. And so one night, I use it and I lay down and attach her, and the smoke detector starts going off. And I was like, oh, okay, you're trying to tell me now, stop using it so much. Stop using something that's not, stop using something that's like a synthetically made hormone and use something and stop relying on it so much and start allowing your body to do the job again. Which is fascinating because I really do believe that we are all one. We are all connected, but yet our souls do have their preferences here in our human journey. So whether that's to not have gluten, to not have dairy, to be vegan, to, whatever it is. And mine, I 100% think, is all about being natural, not, using outside medications, not, putting external things like breast implants in my body, minimizing my use of makeup, all that stuff. Just enjoying being natural and me and like who I was, who I am at birth. And so I kind of laughed and I was like, is that what you're trying to tell me? And so it does. It makes a lot of sense that that's where the rash was starting again. This time was under the armpits. That would correlate to the same place that the rash was last time, under the armpits, which is right there by the breasts, which is trying to tell me something about my breasts. And this time it was stop using the medication so much. Like, I still, again, no shame. It's there for me in the fridge. I'm not going to go throw it away, because if I'm in a stressful moment and my milk's not letting down, for me, using it in that moment to get that let down, totally fine. I'm also seeing a crap ton of Instagram posts about like food for babies, like those like the baby-led weaning kind of stuff, the feeding toddlers courses, the different subscriptions that there are for food deliveries for babies, and I think that's also the encouragement of stop putting so much pressure on yourself to supply breast milk, and it is very taxing on your system, to produce it, and start letting her eat real food and encouraging her eating, because she loves to eat. She is a little foodie like me. Start letting her, having her learn how to start eating more solid food, so that you're not having to do as much with breastfeeding and producing breast milk. So, and then me asking that question of 100%, like, who is that's communicating, seeing the dog that looked just like Snickers. Like, I mean, looking at this dog, it was like, even though they were different, like not the same dog, it was very much like looking at my dog. Like, I looked at that dog and saw my dog saw Snickers. And so I got the confirmation, and this is, you have to be open to it, right? Like, you can't say, oh, that's just a coincidence that I found the certificate on this day, the day after I asked for confirmation, like, if it's Snickers and who else it is. Like, no, like, this is their way of telling me, yes, mommy, it is me, Snickers, and yes, sweetie, it is me, Grandma Rose, that are communicating with you, and we're here with you, and we're guiding you, and yes, so it's great, it's beautiful. Welcome to another episode of Following the Signs in real time, and this is how it works. And they know I'm a very visual person, and they know that when I see it or hear it from an outside source, I'm more likely to be like, oh, okay, versus like hearing it or those aha moments, which I do get, but it's like that visualization. The visual for me is a very big confirmation for me, and it's beautiful because that's how we've learned to communicate. They've learned to communicate with me. I ask the questions out loud, and then they communicate back with me, often in a visual sense. The smell way with my grandpa was freaking awesome, and he's done it now a couple of times since. And once was when I was driving through the town of Cottonwood, middle of the night during my NDE, and I couldn't sleep, so I just went for a drive through the town of Cottonwood. Everything was closed, and as I'm driving through the town, I smell, and I'm pretty sure this video is up there too, because I have this on video. I smell the smell of burnt popcorn, and I know 100% that it is my grandpa again communicating with me, that he's there with me. So I just think it's so neat, and this is the kind of stuff, guys, to look out for and to pay attention to, and let them, like, trust it, be open to it, and know that really is them communicating. So I love you, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and let me know how the universe, your higher self, your guides, your family has communicated with you. How have you guys learned to communicate with each other? What are some ways in which you receive signs and communications from them? And just so much fun. So I want to hear all your stories about ways in which they communicate with you.